the police formed Operation Omega. This task force would become the largest single operation mounted by the New York Police Department. 3 days later, Berkovich struck again.
That shooting, he killed 2 people, a boy and a girl, again, having a liaison in the car.
But this time, he left a vital clue.
The letter was addressed to Captain Joseph Borelli, who was working the case with me. And in that letter, he indicated that he was possessed by the devil.
I am the monster, Beelzebub.
He lived in the streets of New York. He lived in the sewers, and he identified himself as the son of Sam.
I am the son of Sam.
He said he was directed by the devil to kill women.
Go out and kill, demands Father Sam.
He called them women, W-E-M-O-N, as opposed to women, taken off on the word demon.
David felt, in my opinion, that his body was taken over and his entire spirit was no longer his, and that he was not committing these crimes, but that some alter, evil, sinister spirit had invaded his body and, in essence, committed these crimes.
A parking ticket on Berkovich's Ford Galaxy eventually connected him with the crimes. His vehicle had been parked in the same vicinity as the final Son of Sam shooting.
Before he was arrested, he eventually killed 6 people, 5 girls and 1 fellow. They were all young, they were all innocent, and they certainly didn't deserve to be killed.
He was arrested 10 days later, coming out of his apartment block.
David Berkowitz came out of the building, seemingly oblivious to the world, and walked to his car, which went right over about where that silver car is, right over there. He got into his car, they surrounded him.
Berkowitz turned to Detective Filatico and said, "You got me." Filatico says to him, "Who do I have?" He says, "You have the son of Sam."
Berkovich pleaded guilty, now serving a 364-year sentence.
Now he's in prison where he is supposedly advising other inmates on how to be people of God. Now he goes from the devil to God.
Now he is considered to be not son of Sam, but son of hope.
It may well be that Berkovich is a changed man, but he still maintains that his acts were that of the devil and not insanity.
Was he touched by the devil? It may very well be that he was, whatever the devil means.
If this is true, did Berkovich see the devil in the dog? And if so, can Satan take on any living form? If the devil has a face, who or what does it belong to?
He's a little scruffy guy, 5 feet 2 inches tall.
And he's got the swastika, ingrained in his forehead.
After the break, we'll meet the man widely regarded as Satan in human form.
If I were to show you the embodiment of all that is bad in this world, take a look at this man.
One of the most common images of the devil is that of the fallen angel, Satan, in human form. Has the devil walked amongst us? Does he walk amongst us still? On the opposite coast to the location of the Son of Sam's reign of terror lies Benedict Canyon, Los Angeles. In 1969, it was the scene of one of the most infamous and brutal murders in U.S. history, and one that many believe was the work of the devil. On the night of the 8th of August, Charles Manson directed some members of his cult, known as the Family, to 10050 Cielo Drive. There in the dead of night, they slaughtered 5 people, including Sharon Tate, the 8 months pregnant wife of film director Roman Polanski. As they began their ferocious onslaught, one of the gang, Charles Tex Watson, said, "I am the devil, and I come to do the devil's work." His barbaric act was directed by Manson. So if Satan has a human face, does it look like this? On that fateful summer night, Tate was entertaining friends at her house in Benedict Canyon. The happy party was to end brutally at the hands of Charles Watson, Susan Atkins, and other members of Manson's self-styled family. Police officer Robert Burbridge was one of the first on the scene the next morning.
August 8th, 1969, I was a Los Angeles police officer working West Los Angeles Division, and I received a radio call at about 9 o'clock in the morning of a man down, which generally was a drunk or a dead body. The address of the call was 10051 Cielo Drive. When we got there, the maid was hysterical. The first person I saw was Stephen Parent. He was in a white Rambler. He was dead laying on the front seat. We observed two more bodies laying on the front lawn. The look on Abigail Folger's face was, I'll never forget that the rest of my life. We went into the house, went from room to room, ended up in the living room where we observed Sharon Tate and Jay Sebring, the hairdresser, laying on the living room floor with a tremendous amount of blood pool around each body, a rope around both their necks as if they were both hung by the same rope. I've never seen people with that many stab wounds in my life.
Prosecuting attorney Vincent Bugliosi remembers killer Susan Atkins' confession well.
Susan Atkins told me she was cooperating with me, that Sharon said, please let me live so I can have my baby. And Susan told me that she told Sharon, look, bitch, I don't have any mercy on you. You're going to die. And Susan Atkins said, you know, you really have to love people a lot to do what I did to Sharon Tate.
We then went out the front door, and the front door had the word pig written on it in blood. Probably the total time I spent on the police department, I never saw anything so gruesome in my life.
The investigation was hampered by a lack of obvious motive for the slayings. Rumors abounded that the murderers were part of a satanic cult. For Officer Burbridge, a return visit to the scene evokes horrific memories.
It just overwhelms me to think that how, with all this beauty here and tranquility, that how could a murder of such magnitude ever take place in this area? The only thing I could even begin to think would cause it would be something demonic.
At the time these murders happened, it sent shivers down the spine of Tinseltown. It was horrific. You couldn't have created a more brutal murder. It really scared people. It frightened Hollywood.
The man responsible for this climate of fear was Charles Manson, an ex-convict who many of his followers described as having magical and hypnotic powers.
The first time I saw him, he was walking from the Inyo County Jail to the courthouse. He was a little scruffy guy, 5 feet 2 inches tall, kind of hunchback, long hair, beard, didn't look very imposing. But I had already read enough about him that he had this incredible power to get other people to commit murder for him.
There was this sort of satanic quality to the murders, and Charlie Manson was seen as like this religious cult leader who told them that they were committing these acts of murder for a greater good, and also he told them that he wanted to ignite a race war in America, and that he wanted to kill all these rich white people so that other people would assume it was done by blacks.
He surrounded himself with young kids from average American homes. They thought Manson was wonderful. They thought he was the second coming of Christ.
Possessed of a strong force of will and a commanding personal presence, Manson often referred to himself as both Christ and the devil. Or was he the Antichrist? His chosen disciples were impressionable young people searching for life's meaning.